Welcome, everyone. This is the Spiritual Freedom Support Call number 24. I just double check our recording is on because, yes, it is good. Because this is a new platform. All right. So, how's everyone doing this week?
Good.
Good.
Great.
Awesome. We're glad to, Justin, it's really nice to have you on the microphone instead of the phone. You're coming through a lot more clearly.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I like it a lot better. So, let's see. Let's start with there's a few things I want to discuss today, but let's start with any questions that anyone might have.
I don't want to take up all your time again, but...
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
This is the time for you to take up all our time.
Yeah.
Yes. I've been interested to know if you have any new moon rituals that you do.
You know, that's interesting. I practice witchcraft and paganism. Christine's more eclectic with her practice. She's kind of a... What do you identify as, Christine, anymore?
It's so
Put her on the
funny.
spot.
I don't even know. Like,
She's something.
I'm very eclectic. I do a lot of, like, I guess what people would call prayer, I guess. Like, more... I'm very ritualistic. But, I mean, I don't do the whole use a wand and do all that. Like, I guess it's more direct magic. Because I don't believe you have to do all that stuff. But I like ritual. Like, I'm one of those people that will go to church but I do believe in magic, so I guess I'm kind of,
Sorry, that song's playing in my head now.
I asked
What?
if you believe in
magic.
Sorry.
Although I was talking to someone today. I forgot to tell you this, Brandon.
Yeah.
And she called me a witch. So,
Yeah, I heard that. I was going to ask you about that.
evil witch.
In a positive way. It was my
yeah, it was
take
positive.
on it.
First she called me a magician, then she called me a witch, and then she called me a goddess.
What did she call you? What she called you? A what now?
Oh, first she called me a magician, then she called me a witch, and then she called me a goddess. So I don't know what to make of that.
What are you going to be next? What are you going to be next, Christine?
I don't know. It was kind of funny, but
yeah. But I know you read that book on Christian.
I read the Path of a Christian Witch by Angelina St. Clair.
Yeah.
So I guess I would call myself that. I mean, witch is kind of hard for me just because I don't like that word.
That's such a stigma, but I like it. Anyway, that's not really the question, but just to briefly describe where it comes from.
I just do whatever I feel like at the time, I guess.
It's funny because...
Christine, you would say you're a Christian witch, though?
I would say so.
Yeah, that's a close...
Yeah, or white witch.
Yeah, well, that describes a lot of different... I mean, because I'm more Wiccan / pagan / whatever, and I do white magic exclusively, so... But, the full moon is more commonly celebrated, and so the way we do it, I don't know, we've done like one... in recent times, one major, all-out full moon ritual, like drawing down the moon, channeling the goddess, all that kind of fun stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but recently, it's just sort of a time of gratitude, a time of setting our intentions for the coming cycle, a time of kind of regrouping. So the new moon is much more about, rest, rejuvenation, like the 3 days, what's it called? Justin, you might know this. The 3 days prior to the new moon is like, it's dark moon. Dark moon, I think.
Prior to the new moon?
Yeah. Shadow moon or dark moon.
It's the dark moon.
Dark
moon. 10 to 14 days before the new moon's the dark moon.
Well, specifically the 3 days prior to, though, like right at the end.
Prior.
So that's the time when it's like hugely like meditative, we have a friend who is really sensitive to magical energy. I think more so than even I am. And she says on the new moon, there's like not magical energy, but like there's like nothing moving. It's like everything is still. Everything's at a dead stillness. So it's a great time for transitions and stuff like that. So really, I mean, you just sort of do what feels comfortable to you. I will, meditate or just sort of. Get into the energy of that stillness. But one of my main goddess is Hecate, who is the goddess of darkness, basically new moon, and so it's a big time for her. But I'm not big into organized rituals, so it's really not to kind of have a cop-out answer, but it's kind of what resonates with you. And if you work with certain beings, certain deities, they'll help you with knowing what you should do. Or if you're just on your own, it's really just your intuition that will tell you what you can do. I mean, the thing is, like, modern paganism or witchcraft or whatever, or any kind of magical tradition, is, as much as they say they try to reconstruct the ancient times, it's really very modern. It's very, you know what I mean? A lot of it's very new. Maybe last few centuries at the earliest. So,
man, not even that.
Not,
yeah, it just depends on.
Which tradition? So, by and large, as much as people say, "Oh, we go back to the ancient traditions," that you're just sort of, everyone's just sort of flying by the seat of their pants, as so to speak. So you kind of make up your own way. I'm very much a solitary practitioner. I believe, if you're with a group, then you do what they do. But if you're on your own, you just sort of make your own path and find what works for you. If you like more ritual, you do more ritual. If you like more, just sort of do what you want to do, you do that. But it's, the new moon's very much more about stillness and meditation more than anything.
Now, also the new moon, though, I always associate it with
Sorry, I want to welcome whoever just joined us.
Who just joined us?
I don't know.
Rumor.
Ruma, hi.
Hi,
It just gives a
Ruma.
phone number, so that's cool.
Hi,
It
Ruma.
announces it.
Hello.
It always does.
No, it never
With
did.
the other one, it did.
No,
went
it didn't.
beep.
Yeah, no, but this actually said
Oh,
the number has joined the conference.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, yeah, because voiceover is disabled on your end.
Oh, it is?
All right, go on, Justin. Yeah.
Now, I thought the new moon for me is always new beginnings, but I guess
It is new beginnings. It's well,
There's
here's
there's a point to where that energy has to start moving. So it's like dark moon. There's that transition into the new moon where it's still,
right,
and then it has to start moving.
and
so
has to
it's
start.
So I guess I think the new moon is this Saturday. So if
Yeah.
you really wanted to take advantage of new moon, you'd probably do it on, I guess, Sunday morning or something.
Right.
Like you wouldn't necessarily,
I'll
because
look
right
it
at the new moon, it's like that dark moon into the new moon. It's still, and then it starts to slowly move up.
Right. Yeah. It is. I mean, the full moon is about completion. Yeah, it's a wonderful time for magic, right? But it's also about waning and things going out of your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's both of them sort of have the energy of the other, because at the full moon you just completed the stage of growth, but you're also beginning the stage of decay and waning. At the new moon, it's a total stillness, but it's like a new beginnings. It's a wonderful poetic sort of thing, because it's like, in life there is death, and in death there is life, and it just sort of goes all around in a circle. So,
but you don't do anything special for new moon, though.
not too much, no.
A lot of people tell you to write out what you want and stuff like that.
I don't write it out. I just intend it.
Yeah.
That's my time where I set my specific intentions for the cycle. Okay, so hang on. So right now it's 8.5% of the moon is visible. Okay, let's see. Okay, new moon is on January 27th at 7:07 p.m. So that is Saturday. Let's see. 4th, 5th, 6th. No, Friday night. So Saturday morning. Or Friday night. I like to do it at night, like right at midnight.
I think in New Zealand it's something like 1:45 p.m. On the Saturday.
Well, that's probably in your time zone.
You're a day ahead. See, so if I were go ahead.
What does that mean? If you were going to do, like your intentions and all the rest, would you
Right.
do it?
I'm sorry?
Not moon as such, but, in the afternoon when it is at its lowest.
Right. So.
Okay, repeat your question. I'm sorry. You went in.
Yeah, cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. What I'm wondering is if you are going to use the new moon to set your intentions, what do you think would be the optimum time? Like, bearing in mind that, say, this one is actually in the afternoon here in full sunlight.
Right.
Well, I mean, do it at night.
Yeah, so you can get all sorts of complicated with that, depending on.
Yeah, I wouldn't even.
I'll give you two answers, one easy, one complicated.
Yeah.
What I do is I choose the closest night to the new moon. So for you, that'd be Saturday night.
That's what I do.
Right.
And just sort of do it at the darkest time, right around midnight or really whenever. Some people who are really, really serious into magic, depending on what your intention is, you can divide up the day and night into planetary hours.
Yes.
So someone who's really into magic will take the hour of the planet that is best for their intention. So if you want money, they might choose the hour of Jupiter and do it during that time of the night. That is, for me, overkill.
Well, it's
some people will do it.
It's overkill, and I'm not even sure how much it really makes a difference. I'm sure it does help you some.
Right.
I'm
it's
sure
sort
it
of
gives you a little bit of, but
it adds that little bit of oomph behind it, but it's
maybe,
I'm
sorry, go ahead, PK.
I was just going to say, I think it would power up the intention if you made yourself such a specific time. That means you're really putting the energy in.
Remember, it's never going to be it's rarely going to be perfectly aligned for what you're doing.
right.
Yeah.
So for every, there's a point where I'm trying to get super exact, and then as I'm getting exact, there's a few things that I'm going to be missing at that time. So I'm not sure how much it really helps you, but if you can do it, you should. Right. I try to use the waxing and waning to a certain degree, and then what I'll do is I'll use the moon phases and the actual zodiac signs and even the days, but I also go with my intention. If I just don't feel like doing it that day, I don't.
Yeah. Right.
What I'll do is put my candles or whatever in the moonlight and catch the moonlight and hold on to it, and then
that's a wonderful way to
use it like just like store it, then use it.
Yeah, you can
and I'll just say in conjure, a lot of them don't use it at all, especially in hoodoo conjure. And then when you got to do something, if you really need to do something, you just do it. Forget the moon. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Right.
They say a witch is a witch is a witch.
Exactly. And here's, I would say belief is 90% of the process. It's sort of like the 80-20 rule. Like, 80% of the effectiveness can be done with 20% of the effort. So the rest of it, do it some magicians or some witches will literally do like, this is more in like ceremonial magic. Witchcraft, they don't really care as much. But some people will do like, not necessarily with the moon, but they'll choose the day of the planet they need and the hour and the astrological aspects that have to be present. And that's just a lot of work.
Yeah, you gotta.
That's just a lot of work,
Some of us have a job as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, well, if it says at 2:05 p.m., well, and you're at work, then, well, hey, boss, can I go out for a quick ritual?
Hey, boss man, what are you doing out there behind the trash cans? Oh, don't worry about it. I'm on break. Okay.
Why are you chanting?
Yeah, don't mind the chanting, mate.
Why are you chanting? What's that big stick you're holding?
I'm on break.
Why do you have a knife? Why do you have a double-edged knife?
Why you have that knife? Boss man, if I were you, I would give me a bonus.
Yeah, so there's a practical aspect. But yeah, 80 or 90% of it is belief, and you're going to get most of the way with that. That's going to be most of the effectiveness. And, you can always use symbols of what you want, and that will help too. Anything really, most of it is to boost your own subconscious belief in the process, right?
Yeah.
So,
pump your energy.
When we did our full moon ritual, we, I was not about to light a candle to represent fire. So I'm thinking, all right, what represents fire to me? And we use cinnamon because it's hot, We use cinnamon to represent fire, and I don't even remember what all. Oh, we used what did we use for air? What did we use for air?
I don't remember.
I don't remember what we used for air, but we used different.
Oh, did you use a bell?
Yes, we use the bell for air because like the ringing of the bell is like air.
What was it? It was the bell that said late for dinner or something.
Yeah, that's right. Bell that says late for dinner. But
no, that says ring for dinner. Ring for dinner.
I don't know what it says. I can't read it. But
ring if you want dinner or something.
But anyway, so and then we use a crystal.
I'm not sure what you meant by that.
Sorry, that's Alexa. She just wanted to be part of the conversation. And then we used a crystal for earth and a glass of water for water. So that was our, you know what I mean, our altar, and it was really simple. And it works. You know, it works for us. I mean, I can't see the candle, so it wouldn't work for me anyway, right? I mean, so it's so with magic and rituals and stuff like that, you can get a little carried away with, well, I have to have all the correspondences exactly right.
Yeah, you don't need it.
It's all to your belief, you know.
And then what I started doing is if I was like, hey, I don't feel like doing it tonight, all right, I'm gonna put my products in the moonlight and catch that moon.
Right.
Yeah, I do that with my crystals.
Oh,
yeah.
To charge them and cleanse them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You can keep the program too. You just tell them to get rid of the negative energy, but keep the program for me.
Yeah, Justin's going to be doing a course after our psychic class is done. He's going to be doing I think your plan right now is a 1-day course on crystals. Really, I mean, I don't know if it's a course or webinar, but I don't know what the technical name would be.
We're just doing a webinar on crystals, and then, or not a web, like a class on crystals. And, and then,
so that'll be fun.
We'll figure out, you know.
Because he has a lot of experience in crystals. But yeah, so that's what I would say for your question. Does that answer it?
Yeah. I was quite interested because I do like to put new moon intentions out.
Yeah, that's really good.
Absolutely.
On the belief that, you know, I put them out on the new moon and I gather them in on the full moon.
It'll grow, right.
Yeah.
It's like planting a seed.
And I was just wondering if you guys had, you know, like rituals.
I'm going to do some new moon stuff.
Right. And some people will do stuff like writing it on a piece of paper and then burying it or burning it or, you know, all sorts of different things. Again, I'm very simple in my practice, just because it's sort of hard, you know, when you're visually impaired to, like, you're not going to burn something. You're not going to, like, I don't know. I feel sort of awkward going out and digging a hole and burying something. Or so I'm very simple in my practice. I'm very, you know, it's just what works.
And I think that's what it's really about, is keeping it simple.
Yeah.
A lot of, you know, like if you're going to spend a lot of energy on doing all the things that you think that you should,
right,
it's probably detracting from your own personal energy.
It really does, right? It does. Yeah, just do what works for you, and you can always add. You know, I mean, it's you can always add more later. You know what I mean? Like, and no one said you only had to do it once. You can always add more detail later. If the first time it's sort of like, but you know, I find like when you have a real complex ritual you're trying to do, I find that it's sort of, it's like, okay, what's the next step? And okay, I have to say these words right. And, you know, and then it's just sort of, you're not in the zone of it. You're not in that state. And okay, well, you know, words are words. The universe doesn't really care about that. that helps you.
You have to connect with the words. Like the words are right. The words have energy and power to them, but if you don't connect to them, then it really doesn't matter.
Right.
So a lot of people have said Psalms. So if that works for you, that's cool.
Exactly.
And if you say the Psalm, even without the intention, you'll get some of its energy. But if it really does not connect with you, you shouldn't do it. You should do something else.
Right.
And so, I mean, for me, you know, I do a lot of stuff, actually.
Yeah.
More shaman-esque, like, different stuff. But, yeah, I'm going to do new moon stuff. I'm going to be doing stuff all the way waning moon into the new moon.
That's awesome. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm very interested at the moment. So obviously, it's come up for me to have a look at. I actually think that the word has a lot of power.
It does, very, very much so. Yes.
So yeah, but probably if they're your words.
Right. Yeah. Well, they're okay. That's actually a good topic. Let me discuss that real quick. Let me write it down in my outline. So words can have powers or can have power in two different ways. Certain, Justin mentioned the Psalms as an example. Certain words, certain like spells or rituals or sayings or sentences or affirmations have existed for a long time, and either centuries or millennia, and
a lot of people have said them to give
right.
Them. So it's like it's how long plus how many people have been saying.
Exactly. So many millions of people, probably, or thousands at least, have believed in these words. Many have spoken them, and so there's sort of like it's sort of a weird comparison, but like NLP anchors, Justin, like
yep.
You have an image or a phrase or a word that will trigger a certain state inside yourself. It's like a global collective consciousness anchor, right? Even without really you believing in it very much, you have to be a little open to it, but even without a ton of belief, even just saying it will just, it'll kick off that energy.
Even if you trip through it, it'll
because
it'll
so many people have believed it over the years and, given power to it. So it's sort of a collective unconscious sort of thing. Now, the second way that words can have power is just through your own words. And now, if you can say a powerful phrase and give your own energy to it, that's like unstoppable. That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you can't, then it might have some power, but it's going to be limited, right? Because it's sort of you're not really giving it your own energy too much, but it'll still have power. Your own words, though, they have to have emotion behind them. They have to have belief in them. You can't just say them. You can't just listlessly say them and not give them an energy. You have to really raise a lot of energy, have the emotion, say the words, and then they'll go out and create. But it's because the energy. So words are really a transference of energy. It's a vessel of energy, if you will. So one way it can contain energy is, like I said, being a very long used, powerful word. It can be powerful that way, or if you give it your own energy. But they are vessels of energy, but you have to have the energy behind it in order to give them power.
No matter what, you have to have the energy behind it.
You have to have the energy.
Give them focus. So a lot of people that just mouth the rituals,
right,
they'll have the power that just goes through a loop, but they don't really have the force behind it.
Right, and that's like...
You have to have the actual focus, intent, emotion, and will behind it.
Exactly.
To make it work.
Right.
No matter which one you use.
Bringing it back for our, law of attraction crowd who might be like, why should I care? Affirmations are the same way. A lot of people will say, I am abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, I'm healthy, I'm successful. And they're just saying it. And there are literally books, and I read a book like this recently, there are literally books out there who will say, if you don't believe it right away, that's okay. I'm like, no, it's not. Your subconscious knows you don't believe it. It'll reject it out of hand. So if you say an affirmation, I'm making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Whatever.
That'll get you in some trouble. I wouldn't do it.
So when you add the emotion behind it and really raise that energy, then it's going to be really powerful. And even saying it once could go out and manifest huge results.
Yeah.
Right? So affirmations are very powerful, but not because they're going to convince you of their truthfulness. They're powerful because they're a vessel for your energy, and they will help your energy to go out there and create. So that's why affirmations are powerful. So the same thing goes with any kind of word. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's a matter of speed as well, because a thought is quite fleeting.
Right.
If you read something that's a
Right.
different speed. If you speak something, it's another speed. So,
Mhm.
you know, I think speaking it might just
Right.
give it more power.
Right. And writing it down. Journaling has been a method that's worked for me incredibly, phenomenally well. Journaling, and it's sort of surreal to be journaling on something for a month and then go back to it and then see that you actually accomplished it. And then you mark down, yeah, this was completed. Like, that is really surreal. I love that. So writing it down is another, stage of manifestation, even almost more than speaking. So yeah, any of that stuff. I'm not going to, yeah, go ahead.
Are you writing a list of your intentions?
What I do with journaling is I will write, and this is one of the only times I do this, like, acting as if, I will write as though it's already true. So I will write, let's pretend you reached your goal yesterday, and you're writing down how awesome it is to be there, and all the things you're doing now that you have your goal. That's how I journal.
For sure. You're grounding it into reality.
Right.
And it's gratitude as well.
Right, exactly. Gratitude, yeah. So you are, okay, you have them. So you are taking yourself to that state, and, let's say the day after or whatever, and now, what's my new life like now that I have that manifestation? What's it like? What am I doing day to day? And it takes some imagination. You have to make up. You can't steal my headphones. You have to make up some details. Like, what would I do? But the more you do that, the more it makes it real to your subconscious. So it becomes so powerful to, because you're making it real. Your subconscious knows what to expect. Is one of the things that people don't really realize. One of the big reasons people don't achieve their goals, and we were talking about this in the comments a little bit today, is that people are actually unconsciously afraid to, because it's outside their comfort zone. If you remember my comparison of current level goals, next level goals, and ultimate level goals, so those next level goals and above are outside of our comfort zone. So in the subconscious mind, you have almost this fear, because the subconscious mind, above all, craves familiarity and comfort and security. And anything new to it, even if the new thing would seem to your logical mind to be better, is actually going to be scary and not desirable to your subconscious. So that's why you visualize, that's why you journal, that's why you affirm, and practice those emotions. That way your subconscious mind, because it really doesn't know that difference as much, if you're imagining something, part of it thinks it's real. So practicing that will help it to see, oh, this is safe, this is familiar, because it becomes familiar to you after a while and becomes ordinary to you. And so your subconscious mind will feel safe to go there. So that's why journaling and all that kind of stuff are such powerful techniques. And actually, it brings me to another point, unless you have a follow-up to that is important too, that I wanted to discuss. Does that answer your question? Do you have a follow-up to that?
No, that's really good, thanks.
Sure. So a lot of people are afraid to feel ordinary. They want, let's say you have this big, big, big goal, and you're feeling so excited about it, so enthused about it, and after a while, you start to feel, that's going to be really cool, but there's not as much excited, hyped up energy, if that makes sense, right? And a lot of people will say, what's going on? Am I losing my desire? What's up? Why is this happening? And they'll try to get that excitement back. What's happening is that it's actually a necessary step in the process. What's happening is that it's actually becoming ordinary to you, and it's becoming safe to your subconscious. Because let me tell you something, and people I find a lot of people crave the extraordinary, and that sounds like a really good thing, but the extraordinary is extraordinary because Because
it's extraordinary.
it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. It's not your normal experience of life. Let me tell you. Let's say your goal is money. Do you think billionaires are going around on cloud nine because they have all this money? No, it's ordinary to them. Do you think someone who has the dream job, they've always wanted, is going around feeling on cloud nine because they have that and they're blissed out? No, it's ordinary to them.
They might be absolutely flat out enjoying themselves.
Right, they'll be enjoying it, but it's still
normal.
It's normal.
It's a normal state.
This because making your desire ordinary. That's why I say you don't have to feel all that excited about it. You just have to feel good about it. So to always try to have a hyped up feeling, that's just the beginning stage of the process. The middle stage, which actually Robert Fritz calls it the assimilation stage, is where you make it ordinary. You make it part of your everyday life. Because I guarantee, no matter how big your goal is, look 6 months down the road, are you still going to be dancing a jig because you achieved that goal? No.
Even magic becomes ordinary.
Exactly. Yes.
Right? Because, even though, at first it's like, oh my God, look at all this stuff.
Right.
It's ordinary. And, the people, even, miracles and things are ordinary things that happen every day, and
right.
Magic, is a very ordinary occurrence.
Right. I think all the time about, the wonderful technology. I could not go without my iPhone because it helps me to connect to the world. I mean, I have so many apps on my iPhone that help me as a blind person. They'll identify objects and will, help me with different things, read money and all sorts of things. But as wonderful as it is, and as horribly upset as I would to be without it, I'm not. I remember the first day I got it, and I was really, really super happy. But a few days later, and it's sort of getting normal, and a week later, it's pretty normal. And now, it's been years since I got my first iPhone. 6 years, right?
Right, and that doesn't mean you still don't have an appreciation.
Right, you appreciate it, but
you don't. Oh my gosh, I remember what it was like not to have one.
Right.
I remember what it was like to not be able to text. I remember when I couldn't text and people would text me and I couldn't read the darn text messages, because they forgot that I couldn't text.
Right.
And I was so frustrated. And then I got the Envy phone and then I could text. Yay!
Right.
Then I got an iPhone and yay! And then it's normal.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I haven't forgotten what it was like.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean it's still not amazing every day.
Right. So with your sorry, I was teasing Christine. So with your big manifestations, you have to invite and accept and acknowledge the necessary step of making it ordinary.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, I guarantee, it's like that, it's the Christmas Day syndrome. I've described this before. Christmas Day is awesome, and the next day, whatever. But you have to embrace that. So no matter how big no matter how big your manifestation is, 6 months down the road is going to feel ordinary. So when you're embodying, because law of attraction in one sentence is basically embodying the essence of your goals, right? And so when you're embodying your manifestation in your subconscious mind, when you're taking that on, it will start to feel ordinary. You won't feel as excited about it. You'll feel really awesome and good, and it'll be fun. But it won't feel like this impossible high up there, far out there dream that's so amazing you can't even start to think about it. It'll feel ordinary. It'll start to feel ordinary. And once that happens, then you're really close. What were you going to say, Christine?
There was a book I just read, and it had a stupid ending, but it was a fictional book. But, okay, basically there was a parallel world where you had mind power, so you could communicate telepathically,
right,
and you could make anything happen. You could create fire and create everything just however you wanted to, just by thinking about it, okay? And then you had our world, which was what they called hand power.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is, everything is created by hand. Duh. Okay. Right. So basically, these powers used to be united, but then now they're separated. So, but anyway, there were some people that were in the parallel world that had all this mind power that wanted to go to this world and have hand power.
Right.
Why the heck would they want that? Because mind power was ordinary to them.
Right.
Why would they?
Abilities.
Right. With all these amazing abilities, why the heck would they want something as ordinary, well, for us, as hand power? To them, it's extraordinary.
Like that one guy who thought a watch was amazing.
Exactly.
The wristwatch.
Yeah.
I don't know who wears wristwatches anymore. Go ahead.
It'd be a bit like I actually sail historic vessels, and you could actually have motors on the winches and all the rest, but we actually do it by hand, and we pull up these really old, heavy sails made of canvas, whereas these days they'd be super light.
Right.
And actually, it's fun.
Sure. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So that's such an important part of the process. That's the assimilation part of the process, where you are making it part of yourself, and it's going to become ordinary. And a lot of people are really disappointed by that. I think some people are addicted to the high of the next big thing, and it's only the next big thing until
Especially
it's not.
Teenagers. I want the next iPhone. I want the next computer.
Right, yeah.
Why? What's the point? I don't get it.
But, so that is very important, because you have to embrace that part of the process and not not think that, my desire is fading away. It's not. It's just that it's becoming part of you. It's becoming part of you, so that's...
I thought that I'd actually stuffed up a manifestation because I was so cruisy about it, and obviously that's not really the answer, because I had one thing that I was working on, and I was absolutely sure that it was going to happen. I had absolutely no doubt that it was going to happen, and whenever I thought about it, I just how neat that's going to happen, and it didn't. I was super surprised that it didn't happen.
Right.
So, I think you're telling us about some of that. Sometimes you want it to be normal. You want to make sure you've gotten the resistance out.
Yeah.
And pretty much, but you want it to actually be normal.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to feel normal. It is going to be kind of cool, even right up to it. But
right.
But you want it to be kind of a normal thing, even so much as taking steps that you would normally take while you had that manifestation, if you can take them.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. So as far as, I'm assuming your question is, why didn't that happen when you really expected it to happen?
No, I mean, obviously I'm going to have to think more about it, because honestly, and it was so simple. It was actually just getting a upgrade to business class on a very, very long flight. And there were plenty of business class seats available.
Right.
And, for weeks before I went, it was a 19-hour flight. And, I just thought, they'll upgrade me to business. That'll be so cool to stretch out. And often when I was stretching out in bed at night, I was thinking, business class is like this, just being able to stretch out and sleep properly. And I was so sure that it was going to happen.
So...
And what happened is you end up just in coach?
Yeah.
Right. And what did you...
I actually even expected when I was sitting in coach that they were going to come.
Really?
any minute now they're going to come and say, "Oh, can you come with us?"
Yeah.
It just
What-
never happened.
What was your emotional reaction or your thought process when it didn't happen? After you finally came to terms with, okay, this is not going to happen. What was your thought process?
Well, actually, I just accepted it. I was in a plane that has quite a big gap under the seat, so you could, so I could actually chuck my backpack under there and rest my feet on it. So I sort of made it as much business classy as I could in my own space. Like there wasn't any negative about it. I was just surprised more than anything.
Right. And I mean, it's so hard to tell unless we go through and absolutely debug every part of it. Some things I can think of sometimes, what can happen is our feeling good about something is a cover up for a deeper down doubt. And so we kind of, I'm not saying it did happen in this case, but I've seen this happen where someone's so adamant about it happening, but deep down they have a lot of doubt and don't want to face that doubt. And that's especially for big things. I'm not saying it's the case here. That's a possibility. Another thing that's a possibility is there is a difference between daydreaming and manifesting.
Yeah.
So just idly feeling nice about it, and it's it's going to happen, and that's a big difference from imagining it in detail or journaling about it and taking it in within yourself, embodying it, seeing if any resistance comes up, that kind of thing. Those are two totally different processes. The first one, just kind of, dreaming about it or whatever, is probably, unless there's absolutely zero resistance about it, is probably not going to generate the necessary energy to get you there.
Probably not.
I think you've actually put your finger on it.
I was going to ask you, did you meditate? Did you manifest? Did you focus on it?
It was more like daydream about it. Whenever it crossed my mind, I was just thinking, "Oh, that's so cool!"
That's great. That's great for the debugging process, but you really want
creation process
for the creation process. Now, I mean, did you upgrade to business class, thinking this really isn't going to be a problem? Like, in other words, did you just straight up upgrade to it, or?
She was hoping she would be upgraded to it, right?
Yeah, I never intended to
pay for it,
throw any more money at it, but
right.
It's already super expensive.
Oh, you were trying to sneak in there.
Well,
if you listen, like they say, when that guy charged the mound, if you're gonna go to the mound, you got to bring more than that. You weren't gonna throw any more money at it. You were gonna just try to feel good about it to get there.
it can happen. I've heard of it happening.
I've heard of it happening, but
it does happen.
You're gonna have to, most likely though. When I wanted to do stuff like that, I would have had to generate more force than that.
Right. Yeah. So here's, I had a client once who said to me, because I led her through this process. It's a process from my Art of Reality Creation course, which Justin was just referring to with creation and debugging. Those are two stages of manifestation process.
That's right, man. I was bugging you.
Yeah. Right. But anyway, I was leading this client through that process. And she said, this is so different because I've been just, idly feeling good about my goal for years. And what happened? Nothing. Nothing happened.
Just didn't know people really did that. Honestly, until we're sitting on the call, right now, I know you said people did this.
Yeah.
I actually it just did not occur to me.
Yep.
And because I'm just so used to meditating. I don't know.
Oh, sure. Right. Well, this is way of life. It's sort of different. But she's like, just feeling good about this for years. And nothing happened. Nothing changed. I said, that's because you didn't choose it. I don't know if you've seen my blog post on deliberate choice, deciding on your path. But
I haven't seen that one.
that was probably back from November, early November. But it was a really, I think it was a really good blog post. But anyway, I would. Anyway, but...
every post is really good. I have to say that.
Oh, but yeah, you're my wife. That's your job.
Shut up.
Just like the preacher's wife.
Yeah. But anyway.
I'll just shut up now.
So I said, the difference is you didn't choose. It's about deliberate choice. You have to choose. The energy of choice is so massive. So you have to say, I not only feel good about being on business class, but I choose by whatever means necessary that I will be on business class. Do you feel the difference in that energy?
Is business class first class?
It's
No.
one underneath, right?
Oh.
It's like between the two.
Oh, I never even knew there was one.
In some airlines, there's actually 4 classes now. So you have economy, you can have premium economy, and then business,
Right,
and then
The
first.
thing is, when you choose it, you leave
No
doubt
doubt.
that it's going to happen.
Right.
You don't even
And
care
not-
how.
Exactly. You are going to make it happen. And
It's going to happen.
that's totally different from what most people say, well, you have to accept if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. No. You're going to make that thing
this
happen one way or another.
One way or the other. It's
That's the
happening.
energy you need. So do you...
Well,
PK,
I could make it happen by
money,
throwing money at it.
but I mean for manifestation, though. You say,
Manifestation.
this is going to happen in a way that feels good to me, in a way that is easy and effortless for me. It's going to happen.
Now,
So do you feel the difference, the energy between I feel good about business class and I'm going to be added to it, between that and I choose to be upgraded to business class? Do you feel the difference in that?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Yeah.
It's a massive difference.
I think language, though, people can use words.
Yeah, it's very slippery.
I went to a seminar last Sunday, and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wait, go ahead, PK.
The same word can mean different things to different people. In fact,
That's true.
Some people you can say something and they're actually insulted.
That's true.
No intention of insulting, but
Right.
a word that you use brought up something. So I'm kind of now running around sort of thinking, well, what word, like, does the universe, obviously the universe
Doesn't care about the word, no. It's the difference between a hope and a choice.
It's the energy of the word.
It's not even that. You don't even have to use the word. I've manifested lots of things without using the word choose.
It's just the energy.
But it's the difference between this would be nice if it happened and this is going to happen because my will is behind it. It's will. So I had another post about the 3 essential elements to practicing magic or something like that. And the 3 elements were focus, emotion, and will. And most people leave out the will, and that's why nothing changes. They focus on the good stuff. They feel good about it. Nothing changes because they don't put their will behind it. So the will to say, I will it, I choose it, this is going to happen, that's a totally different energy from I'm focusing on it and feeling good.
Right.
That will is needed to get up to that next level of the goal, of next level goals. It's needed to choose it or will it or however you want to put it. That deliberate energy is required. That you are a creator and you're going to make it happen. You're going to create it. You're not going to sit passively, idly by and just whatever happens. You're going to deliberately create it because, some people are way too passive about this. You have to put your will behind it, put yourself on the line a little bit, and say, I'm going to create this. I'm going to do it. So that's the difference.
Yeah, I think I probably just get so lost down the back trails, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I had thought, well, if you don't have any negative kickback on something, that's a good thing. You know,
It's going to come.
Going to come quickly. And this thing was so, well, like you say now, daydreaming. Actually, it was. Hey, that's so cool. That's a really neat.
And that's the danger. And I'm sorry to. I feel like I rail against this too much sometimes, but the danger of like the Abraham-esque methods is that people are encouraged to just feel good about it, just like rampages of appreciation and whatever they call it. And just effortlessly let it happen. And that's cool for, like I said, current level goals, stuff that is already easy to your subconscious structures, the stuff that you're already there with. It's not so effective for next level goals. You really have to put yourself on the line and choose it. And that's what, that is the difference. So yeah, it's too passive to really generate that energy to get up to that next level. So you really need to do that.
See, I kind of get a bit confused in that, say that you've got, a really good income, you've always got money in your bank for whatever you want. So you think, I could use a new car, and you wander around and you have a look and, oh, that red one looks good. Here you are, sir, here's your check. Drive away. Technically, you've manifested a new car. But for me, I don't kind of feel like that has manifested it. To me, I feel like I have to do a lot more effort into that than just wandering in and buying a new pair of shoes or a new car or a new house or a new jet or whatever.
Right. The difference is that for that person who has a lot of money and who has no care in the world and who can just walk in and buy a car with cash, let's say, that's like the epitome of a current level goal. Their subconscious is so on board with it that there's no kickback, as you say, from walking in and just buying a car. If you were to imagine that's, oh gosh, you can't do it. But they're so on board with it. It's like, magic is in the everyday things, okay? You don't want to get in this mindset of, in order for it to be magic, I have to just do no action whatsoever. Most of the stuff I manifest, there's some action. I'm not saying it's direct, a lot of times there is some action, though. Or what will happen is, I will, like for instance, recently I transferred to a new web host because the one I was on I just didn't like as much. And I set out the intention for a few months, and then eventually I became very deliberate about, I'm going to find one. I don't know who I'm going to find yet. So eventually the right choice came to me, but I had to make that decision and take that risk of, maybe being worse. You don't know until you try it. I couldn't just, it'll just transfer itself. And you have to take that action. You have to, and sometimes, I would just do some of the work of going out and looking for reviews and stuff like that. But it's a co-creation because, even if you have the money to go and walk in and buy that car, it's a big deal. You had that money, or it wasn't, for some other purpose, like massive medical bills or whatever. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that could happen. People all the time will either win the lottery or get a big bonus or promotion, but all the extra money has to go towards some bills that have come out of the blue that they weren't expecting because their subconscious just isn't on board with having that much money. So you have to look at the big picture. that's very important. So yeah, it's not all just visualize and it all happens. That's part of it, but it is just as magical if you feel the alignment. Now, don't do it out of fear, but if you feel the alignment to go out there and just do it directly, like if you would have had the money in the bank and it would have been comfortable to you to buy that business class ticket, that is, to me, just as much a manifestation because you had the money and because you had the means of doing it.
It's current level. It's like abundance for you.
It's a current level, right.
The thing is that I didn't have that. I gave up a job that I really was unhappy doing
Right.
3 years ago. But when I was doing it, I could just replace the car in the blink of an eye.
Sure.
Well, like I wouldn't go out and buy a brand new $50,000, $60,000 car. I would be incredibly happy with a second-hand car.
Right.
And so I would think that my income level and my expectations and how I spend money was very, very well entrenched. But obviously there was some kind of belief that you have to work hard and be treated like a dog.
That's exactly right.
Get that amount of money.
You only had certain doors open to. I'll tell you a quick story. So when I first started my coaching business, I had lots of beliefs around that kind of stuff. And so when I would manifest money, I would be successful, but it would all come, almost all it would come through stuff that Christine would do.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even have a job, but she does like massage on the side and stuff like that. And so when I would manifest, it would come through her. She's an awesome, she's really good at just receiving that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't open to it coming through me yet because I had too many blocking, limiting beliefs.
And it still does sometimes, but a lot of times it's coming through you.
Now it's kind of more equal.
Yeah.
And, but it's, but anyway, I had a lot of limiting beliefs around that. Like, oh, someone's not just going to come to my site and sign up for a $125 coaching session. You know what I mean? Like, and that was the only option I had at the time. I didn't have all these courses available or readings, or it was just the coaching or nothing, right? Now I branched out a lot, but so it just didn't happen. Now, once those structures, those subconscious structures, for those who haven't read that post, that's probably the most important post you could read on subconscious structures. Once those structures were in place, then everything started flooding in. I'm not going to say flooding in, but it started increasing a lot. So you have a belief that, okay, financially, you can get money through a job that you hate, but that's about it. You don't have those other doors open yet to abundance. So if you started intentionally manifesting a lot of money, then those resistant thoughts would come up, or you would be driven to go out and get another job that you hate. That could happen, right? You're like, no. But if that desire was strong enough, then people will say, I don't care what I have to do. I need money. So they would go out, but
it's funny because
I'm sorry?
What?
She cut out a little bit.
I'll have to go back. And I could go back. I could walk back in there.
Right.
But, that would be a fail. That would be a big fail.
Right. So there's more, it's easier not to do that. But what I would do is, not too heavily, because I remember you're the one that had you went too big with the goals and all the stuff happened. But, just set a nice intention, general intention for greater abundance through means that feel good to you. And then yes, beliefs will come up, resistance will come up, because it's not, your subconscious structures aren't supportive of that goal right now. But you work with them, you allow them, transmute them, and then you can have that happen. You can manifest it, right? So that's the process. But you have to set that intention first.
Yeah.
Right. Our desires are the force that really pushes us along. That's really what the catalyst behind all this stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So other questions about anything at all?
I was just going to mention that
Yeah.
I wanted to mention it earlier, but you guys were,
Yeah,
y'all had a
please.
good rhythm, but it was, I didn't want to break it, but it
Mhm.
was, the class I was in last Sunday had it was trust yourself, and it said, it was about I am, I will, I choose,
Right.
I have, I love,
Like
I
that.
create, I love, and I create, and those are what, and that was, I think that was most of them, but I knew the I choose was in there.
That's awesome.
So there was a lot of those you could say I have, I create.
Right.
I am.
Yeah, those are good.
I don't
Yep.
care for I will that much, because that's just keeping it in the future, but you could do that if you wanted.
Unless it's will, as far as like I will it. Like will has kind of two purposes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Good point. Or I choose, which I like. So those are
Right.
If you say you're looking for something to really connect with, try one of those statements and see.
Yeah, I used to use I intend, but now that just is too passive for me. It's sort of
So I choose. Yeah, so you have to choose it.
Right.
And then don't do it until you're ready. But when you're ready, choose it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the word doesn't
I have
really
a
matter.
question.
Yeah, but please go on.
I was going to ask, where does how does God play in all of this?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Big question.
You threw that one down the field, didn't you?
So,
All right.
okay. I do have a post back in October about the gods. I'm gonna say the gods because I'm polytheistic. If you're just sort of I'm a mix of polytheistic and pantheistic, so take that as you will. But if you believe in a one like monotheistic god or many or pantheistic sort of thing, whatever. I mean, replace what I'm going to say with your words of choice.
Yes.
Okay. So the gods do absolutely play a role. But, okay. I'm just debating how I want to say this. For me, again, as a polytheist, I have developed relationships with particular deities. Okay? My two are from the Greek pantheon, Hades and Hecate. And but again, if it's a monotheistic thing, that's cool. You develop a relationship with
God,
one monotheistic God, if that's your belief. Or the universe for people who are more pantheistic. So you develop a relationship with that being or those beings. And we actually just talked about this on Saturday, didn't we, Justin?
Yeah, somewhat. We did to a certain degree.
So they will, I shouldn't say will, they probably will help you. So because we were talking about spirit guides in our psychic class versus angels and gods, all that kind of stuff. Your spirit guides, if you believe in that, or some people it's like guardian angels or whatever, are there to advise you and help you out and and kind of guide you, obviously. That's the name. The gods and the guides are committed to you. They have a contract with you. The gods, you develop a relationship with. They will have, certain requirements of you a lot of times. Some are more strict than others about that, but they will have requirements of you a lot of times. And so, it's an agreement between the two of you. And I don't want to make it sound too cold. But it's an agreement. It's okay. I'm following this god or these gods, and they are or she is working with me. So when you do, and it is so much like a relationship because the more you work with them,
it is a relationship.
It is a relationship. The deeper it'll get, and the more they will help you out, and the more comfortable you'll feel with them, right? So here, let's say you've developed a really deep relationship with a god or goddess, and so you have a request. Now you have the magical approach, which is to manifest it or to do some kind of ritual or spell to make it happen. Now that can be mixed with the religious approach, where like Wiccans will invoke the god and goddess, usually both, and ask them for help too, right? So that's cool. Or you have a strictly religious approach where you say, "Hey, God or goddess, I need help with this thing. Can you kind of help me out?" Now, that's a benefit. Here's the thing. They have a huge scope of influence. They can really, if they chose to, they could go out and just make everything happen right now, add $1 million to your bank account, get you a perfect job, whatever. They won't do that most of the time. But they could.
Unless they really love you.
Well, it's not about that. It's mostly what's good for you. So here's the thing. There's
and your focus.
Cost-benefit analysis here. The benefit, they have a lot more influence. Even if you're not totally 100% aligned with it, now you have to be at least partially aligned, okay? But even if you're not totally 100% aligned with it, they can make that thing come into your life. Now, if that happens and you're not aligned, you may have trouble hanging on to it, okay? But that's another topic entirely. So you have to make sure if they bring it to you, you thank them, obviously, you're really thankful. Maybe you do something for them in return, an offering or a prayer of gratitude or whatever. And then you make sure your energy's aligned with that, because, you can, if you're not there, it's not going to be so good. That's the good part. The bad part, and I ran into this recently. I'm not going to call it bad. I'm going to call it the uncomfortable part. They have free reign to how can I say it? Test you a bit. And that happened to me recently, where I had all these financial random stuff going on where, like, I would buy a plugin and it was horrible, and I had trouble getting a refund, or I experienced awful support for something, or I got double charged for something, which is really rare, and then they wouldn't refund me, and it took me really arguing with them. All this stuff started coming up, and I didn't have I wasn't really fearfully focusing on money or anything. So, it was my personal deities who were kind of saying, "All right, well, you know what? You've been having it pretty good for a while, so we're going to kick up some resistance that you need to work through. We feel it's about time to work through this stuff, so here you go." It was really painful. I didn't enjoy it, but I'm thankful that it happened because it brought up a lot of stuff I needed to go through. So on the positive side, they can do stuff that you're not quite aligned with yet. On the negative side, they will do things that, in their opinion, is for your highest good, that in the short term, you're like, why did you have to do that? Okay, so that's your choice. It's a relationship. They are not a vending machine where you just ask for things and they do it.
No, they test you.
They will test you often. They will make sure, that you can receive it. Again, I don't want to be fear-based. That's just my experience with the gods. So again, some law of attraction practitioners, some magicians, some witches will do magic without any kind of divine influence, and it is successful. You can do magic without the gods. Mm-hmm. If you choose to work with them, you take on all of the risks associated and all the benefits too, obviously. It is a relationship. You can't just command them around and say, nope, I want this by tomorrow, okay? So you better get it done, It's not going to work that way. They can really help you out. Since I've started working with my gods, I've made a massive, monumental progress in that time that I don't think I would have made otherwise.
Right.
I've learned things that I just did not know before. They can be a huge help, more than just working on your own. It's just up to the individual magician, witch, law of attraction practitioner, whatever you want to call yourself, it's up to each person, each creative being, so to speak.
Yeah.
Do you want to do magic on your own, or do you want to get involved with the divine and have them sort of be your mentor and your guide and sometimes tester? That's your choice, but there's no right or wrong in it. It's just totally up to you. Does that make sense? Does that clarify things?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one more thing that I wanted to add to that. I find that like some of the same, I guess, techniques or, ways that you use for the law of attraction.
Yes.
It can be compared to some of the, I guess, Bible scriptures.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, very much so.
What was it?
Some of the law of attraction techniques are similar to Bible
Find it in the Bible. It's actually all over through the Bible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, what was your question?
No, I was just wanting to say that.
Definitely. I mean, again, this has been around for thousands of years under various names, and I believe, especially with Jesus, was a huge practicer of. I'm sorry for Christians, but a huge practicer of magic.
Yeah.
Oh, he was. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, he said, "Ask anything, and if you believe it, it will be given to you." Anything. Now, people will try to moralize it and say anything that's in alignment with God's will. That's not what he said. He said, ask anything. Now, you know how he was. He would have clarified it if there were conditions. See, ask anything that God agrees with, and you'll get it. No, he's ask anything, believing it, and you will be given it.
You just have to be aligned with it in a universal sense.
Right.
Get it.
Right.
And,
that's the belief part. Right.
You got to have the belief that you can have it.
Right.
And but he said, ask and you said, ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
You can take your law of attraction and actually ask Jesus or God, whoever you call on, to help you when you're meditating.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it'll guide you there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, if it's within your higher self to have it, if your higher self is, if it's good for your path, you'll get it. If not, you'll have the choice to either, you
pursue it anyway.
Pursue it anyway. So you'll get a no, and if you really want to force it, you can try it or not.
Right. Yeah.
I have one more question.
Please.
I don't know if you can answer it, but I'll just ask anyway. But so there's like there's a R&B singer that I really like.
Okay.
And her genre of music is R&B.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, like whenever you look at like a concert, or even when I've been to like her concerts, it almost as if the people in the audience, like they're literally like raising their hand or like, praising. It looks like a praise worship, but she's singing R&B music. I don't know if this is like her connection or her, spirit or something like that.
Yeah, that's, again, I'm going to anger some religious people.
Is she a Christian?
Huh?
Is she a Christian? Is that what you're saying, or no?
What's your question?
Yes. Well, she is. Like she says that, like doing this is like her calling, even though it's like she's not singing gospel music, but she feels as if, R&B music or just in general is her calling.
Sure, yeah.
And like whenever she sings a song, it has the feeling that it comes off as if it's a, like a gospel feeling or like a spiritual awakening.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and here's so I'm sorry if this offends you or anyone else, but this is obviously my view on things, which you asked for. But any time there's high energy in a music concert, in let's say a Native American like a drum circle or something, in a dance, in a church, in a temple, there is high energy. Now, as humans, we tend to divide that up. Well, music is mundane and church is religious, or the temple is religious, or we tend to divide that up. And, it's not. The universe doesn't see any difference between going to a really awesome concert that raises a lot of energy, which, by the way, is very magical, right, Justin?
It is, yes. It actually really is very magical.
Very magical.
And the only difference is it just may not be...
It's not as focused.
It may not have as much focus.
Right. But
and it may not have the religious or divine feel, but man, there's different types of spiritual energy out there. That is definitely one of them.
So all of it is energy. Yeah. All of it's energy. It's all, when I say the same, yes, Justin's right. There's different, I wouldn't say levels, but there's different qualities.
Flavors, I should say.
Flavors. That's a good word.
Yes.
So because if this woman is religious, she's going to bring that energy with her into her performances, and so
hers may be a little more religious than
right. And so by the law of attraction, she will draw to her those people who are more religious, right? So, but it's no better or worse than, let's say, a rock concert where I've never honestly been to a rock concert. I would have no idea, but where everyone's going crazy and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a heavy metal concert.
Right, exactly.
The only difference is the flavor will be different.
Right.
And the energy may not be, it's just going to do different stuff, but it's still the same energy doing basically the same stuff.
Yes, right. So it's all energy, but yeah, she probably brings that religious energy with her because that's how she sees it, and therefore, that is what happens. It's funny because it reminds me a lot of, when I first started co-creation coaching, I was I only talked about law of attraction, right? For about a year. Okay. And then, over time, I said, well, I'm multidimensional. I have more than just this about me. I'm interested in psychic development. I'm interested in witchcraft and magic. I'm interested in spirituality, non-duality, ego stuff, whatever, So I started to come out with other aspects of myself. And as I did so, I found that the people reading my blog were already interested in that stuff. Not maybe interested. You were interested. Not maybe all of them, but, even taking you, PK, as an example, you seem to be really interested in magic and crystals and full moon and new moon and stuff like that.
PK, that was awesome.
Yeah. A great match to my energy, even though I've only recently been coming out more and more with the magical stuff, because it took me a while to acclimate to, at first I felt sort of self-conscious. I'm like, these people are expecting law of attraction stuff from me. Like, how am I going to transition? But I found I didn't really need to transition too much because most people were already interested in most of the stuff I was talking about. So, so it was, now we have our psychic podcast, The Unseen World, which is coming out this Saturday, our second episode. And, so it's just sort of transition, but that's because people were attracted to my energy. My energy drew the people to me that were most like me, So that's
halfway across the planet.
All the way across the planet.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
You should see, because I have the live chat on the website, so I can see the locations of everyone browsing the website. And on a regular every day, I will see a few people from the U.S., someone from the UK, Australia, the Netherlands, all sorts of different...
Everywhere.
Like everywhere in Europe, Asia, sometimes Africa, all sorts of different places. I mean, I had someone contact me recently from South Korea. So yeah, that's the wonder of, having a website on the internet like that. But yeah, so that would be my answer to you, Ruma.
Okay. I have one more.
Yeah.
So it's like one of my, I guess, goals per se that I wanted to do in a form of like giving back was to like go to my my university and speak to like some of the students that are in the kinesiology class, not kinesiology, but there are kinesiology majors. And the reason being is because I know when I was in college or was majoring in kinesiology, there was no other outlet outside of being a teacher, like a PE teacher.
Right.
And so I wanted to like spend my time to go, you know, talk to them about it and let them know there's other options
Right.
or the avenues that you could take. But I think it was like a week ago, I ended up looking at the going to the website and looking, and come to find out they received a grant, like a career development grant, and it was mainly based for the students that were kinesiology majors.
Oh, wow. That's
so
cool.
I'm just like, look at that, you know, the coincidence there. And I was just like, all of a sudden, I kind of thought about, well, maybe, you know, you should call and then maybe talk to somebody. Then the other side was just like, okay, well, how are you going to do that now? Or, you know, like a lot of different things came up.
Right. And so what is your question?
What's your question?
So, like, how does that, in terms of taking the next step, like, how do you determine, like, which, like, was that, like, me seeing that grant there, was that a reason for me to be like, okay, maybe I should do it, or maybe I should, you know, or maybe I shouldn't do it?
So signs from the universe can be tricky. I think that's what you're asking, basically. Is this a sign that I should proceed? Because all the time I will see people who, you know, will start manifesting what they want, and they'll say, oh, I've been seeing it everywhere. That's a sign. Well, you're seeing it everywhere because you're manifesting it. And it's a sign of your manifestation. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a sign of the universe saying, yeah, it's going to work. I would say it means that there's a good sign that you are at least partially in alignment with that goal. And I would say that you should go ahead and pursue that if that's your joy.
Your true intention.
Your true intention. So go ahead and, you know, keep pursuing it. And I would say that focus on that as a success, as a manifestation, and, you know, just let the process keep playing out, and you'll see more and more things that match that. Okay. So, but just keep going down the road. And I mean, you're a creator. There are very few times when the universe will say, you know, not happening. Very, very few times, unless it has to do with someone else's free will or something like that. Or if it really is not, you know, it's not going to turn out as well as you think it is. It really doesn't match you. But pursue it and see where it goes. Choose it, set it as an intention, like we said earlier, you know, put your will behind it, and you'll see changes. But that's really all I can say. But yes, I would say it's a positive indication. I don't want to say sign, because that kind of has connotations. It's a positive indication that it is possible for you to move more in that direction.
Yeah.
Right. Are we going to add anything to that, Justin? Because you were about to say something, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you have to kind of feel it within you. So, I mean, you know, that would be honestly partially where your divination came in, or at least your meditation, because really, that would be you deciding to choose something, but to only decide to choose it if it felt like, or you could discern that it was a good path for you. Yeah. So the other way you could do it is just start manifesting it and see if that what happens. And if you don't like what you get, then either change it or go or just don't do it. Right. But I mean, if it feels like that's something you ought to do, then at least start manifesting it. If you don't divine it, at least start manifesting it and see what happens. I mean, you're talking about it, so you've got to be partially aligned with it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And something happened. You saw a positive signal.
Yeah.
So that's something, right?
Yeah.
So
and you can even ask the universe for signs to help you out along the way.
Right. That's definitely true. But you have to kind of stay more neutral as you're waiting for the sign. Try to kind of stay neutral and be like, okay, just show me a sign. I'm not going to try to create it. Just show me a sign of whether this is on my path, right?
True. But, so you would try to manifest it, but not create the signs.
Right, exactly, yeah. And sometimes the universe will say, well, if you want it, yeah, go for it. I mean, it's not going to dictate what you should or shouldn't do. But, you know, if there's some hidden aspect you don't know about it, then it might say, no, you know, it's not really for you. So that just depends. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Real quick, I want to end with one more thought. Is so, first of all, when I say magic, I mean law of attraction. I mean magic. I mean witchcraft. I mean any alteration of reality. Intentional changing of reality. Right. I mean all of that combined, whether you're law of attraction or magic or anything else. But this stuff is not difficult. And because I'm saying that because I find a lot of people overcomplicate it, and they put it way off in the future and say, well, one day, once I'm more aligned and blah, if you choose to, you can get it very quickly. I mean, maybe if it's an ultimate level goal, it might take a while, but what I'm saying is magic can cause really quick results, or law of attraction can cause really quick results. I find people kind of, because of this passive nature that most people are about, law of attraction,
right.
Most people are like, well, it'll happen in its own time and whatnot. And I mean, I've had results happen in days. When you really get serious about it is when stuff starts happening. What I want to say is be proactive. Don't just sit by and say, well, I hope it happens soon. Be proactive. Set the intention, visualize or journal or affirm daily, twice daily if you can. Do it. Do the process. Get in alignment with it. Embody the goal. And, just go there. And it will happen. Yes, you'll have resistance come up. You have to be bold and courageous to go there. But just go there. Be proactive. Realize that you are a creator and just do it. Just don't be passive about it. Don't just sit by and whatever. I hope it happens. And that kind of I'm just really passionate about telling people that it is possible. It can be easy. Not everything, because sometimes you have a lot of resistance. And that might take a little while. Mm-hmm. But it can be easy. So start with some small stuff and just start creating. It's so fun once you start. It can become a part of your everyday life. But there's really no excuse to not do that if that's what you want to do. So that's kind of what I wanted to end with, because it's very important to me that people realize that it is feasible, it is possible, it is actually what you're meant to do. So it's possible. Anything else before we close?
PK and Ruma, you guys were great.
Yeah, okay, you asked some great questions today.
You did.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's just been brilliant being able to talk to you guys.
Oh, I'm so glad. We really enjoy it.
We do. It's great.
This is good. This is really good.
Really enjoy it. I want to mention real quick, we're going to I'm thinking of having a possibility where on our podcast, where we bring on someone who just wants to kind of work through one particular topic for half an hour. They can remain anonymous, but it'll be on the podcast, and work through something, and we will just debug it with them and work through it with them. And we do a lot of that here, but it's more because we have to move along sometimes, right? But usually it's more like 40 minutes, honestly. We say it's a 30-minute podcast, which it's always been 40 minutes. But I think that'd be fun. It'd probably be every 2 months or so. But we're thinking of doing something like that soon, especially because the new software we're using, where we can invite a guest on and they can join us really easily. So people who are listening, think about that. If you happen to be interested in that, contact me, let me know. I'll be sending out a more widespread announcement about that soon. I just want to kind of sow the seeds of it a little bit and put it out there, so that's just something coming up if people are interested. So, but yeah, we really enjoyed this conversation. This is a great one as always. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful week, and I hope to see you next Tuesday.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. See you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.